The spotlight hit me like a punch to the gut, hot and unforgiving, as I twisted midair off the pole, my body arching in a perfect crescent that the crowd devoured with wolfish cheers. But inside, I was shattering. Another night at the velvet rope. Another dollar bill stuffed into my waistband like a receipt for my soul. And the face in the mirror backstage wasn't mine anymore. It was a ghost named Jesse who'd traded dreams for survival. Then he walked in, that stranger with eyes like storm clouds over the Hudson, and whispered to the bartender, "Is that kid okay?" As if he could see the fracture lines I'd been hiding under sequins and smoke. I landed with a thud that echoed in my bones, the bass thumping through the floorboards of the velvet rope like a heartbeat I wished would stop. Sweat stung my eyes, blurring the sea of faces below. Men in tailored suits nursing whiskeys, their gazes hungry, praising, stripping me bare before I even hit the stage. I'd been dancing here for 2 years, ever since I washed up in Brooklyn from the dust-choked trailer parks of rural Ohio, chasing the lie that New York would fix me. But tonight, as I gripped the cold steel pole and spun into my routine, something cracked. A memory flashed. My father's belt cracking against my back for the sin of loving the wrong way. The way that made my stomach twist with forbidden heat when I stole glances at the farmhands. I faltered, just a half beat, and the crowd's roar dipped into murmurs. Fuck them. I pushed harder, legs wrapping the pole in a death grip, thighs burning, forcing the pain into fuel. By the end, I was a blur of motion, ending in a split that drew whoops and crumpled 20s fluttering like dying birds at my feet. Backstage, the air was thick with cheap cologne and regret. I slumped against the graffiti-scarred wall, peeling off the glitter-dusted G-string that clung like a second skin. My real name, Jesse Harlan, felt foreign now, replaced by Jet, the stage moniker that promised edge but delivered emptiness. At 24, I was a bar dancer lost in the grind. Rent due on a roach-infested walk-up in Bushwick. Student loans from a half-finished community college degree gathering dust. And a heart scarred from too many one-night stands that left me feeling cheaper than the tips. I'd come to the city for art school, for painting the chaos inside me onto canvas. But life laughed and shoved me onto the stage instead. The door creaked open, and Marco, the burly manager with a tattooed neck and a perpetual scowl, poked his head in. Solid set, kid. But tighten that hesitation. Crowd smells weakness like blood. I nodded, forcing a grin, but inside I was screaming. Weakness? I'd survived worse than a slip on a pole. The bar pulsed on without me, a labyrinth of neon and shadows where secrets fermented in every corner. I pulled on jeans and a faded Ramones tee, the fabric rough against my still-flushed skin, and headed to the alley for a smoke. The December chill bit through the bricks of this forgotten stretch of Bedford Avenue, the kind of cold that seeped into your marrow and whispered doubts. I lit up, inhaling deep, watching my breath ghost into the night like unspoken confessions. That's when I heard the footsteps, measured, not the usual stumble of drunks. He emerged from the side door, coat collar turned up against the wind, hands buried in pockets. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a jaw carved from granite and hair the color of wet sand, cropped close. His eyes locked on mine, gray and piercing, like he was reading the fine print of my soul. "You're Jesse, right?" His voice was low, gravel rough, with that faint Midwestern lilt that tugged at my Ohio roots. I froze, cigarette halfway to my lips. Nobody called me Jesse here. It was too real, too raw. "How'd you?" He stepped closer, Not invading, just present, like an anchor in the storm. Saw your set. You're good, better than good. But you're holding back. Like you're dancing for them, not you. I laughed, sharp and bitter, flicking ash into the gutter. Mystery man gives critiques now? What's your angle? Scout for a bigger club? He didn't flinch, just extended a hand gloved in worn leather. Dylan Reeves. And no angle. Just recognition. I teach at the community center up on Myrtle. Boxing, mostly, helps guys like us find their footing. The word hung there, heavy with implication. I glanced at his hand, then away, heart kicking like I just dodged a hook. We talked, or rather, he talked, and I half listened, paranoia prickling. Dylan was 32, a former Golden Gloves champ who'd traded gloves for chalk after a knee injury sidelined him. Now he coached at the rec center, turning anger into discipline for kids and vets and anyone adrift like me. It's not about the fight, he said, eyes distant, staring at the stars smudged by city haze. It's about knowing when to stand. I stubbed out my smoke, the ember dying like my fleeting hope. Easy for you to say. Some of us are built for falling. But as he walked away, leaving a crumpled card in my palm, Dylan Reeves, Coach, Myrtle Avenue Rec Center, I felt a spark. Not lust, not yet. Curiosity. The kind that could burn or build. The next night blurred into routine. Makeup caking my face like war paint, the throb of EDM syncing with my pulse as I contorted for faceless admirers. But Dylan's card burned a hole in my locker, his words echoing over the din. By closing time, I cracked. The rec center was a squat brick building, floodlights casting long shadows on the cracked pavement. Inside, the ring glowed under fluorescence, heavy bags swaying like pendulums. Dylan was there, shadowboxing in sweats, muscles coiling with economical grace. He spotted me in the doorway, towel draped and hesitant, and grinned wide, genuine, the kind that crinkled his eyes. Knew you'd show. Gloves are over there. No pressure. I laced up, the leather foreign and heavy, and stepped into the ring. It smelled of sweat and possibility, a far cry from the stale beer of the bar. Dylan circled me slow, calling combos, jab, cross, hook. My first punch glanced off the mitts, wild and sloppy, but he didn't mock. Breathe into it, Jesse. Feel the power from your core, not your anger. Anger. Yeah, I had that in spades. Anger at my dad for the bruises and the Bible verses spat like venom, at Mom for looking away, at myself for running instead of fighting back. We went rounds until my knuckles ached and lungs burned, but for the first time in years, I wasn't performing. I was moving. Free. Weeks melted into a rhythm. Nights at the rope, days at the gym if I could swing the shift. Dylan's voice a steady compass. He'd spot me on the heavy bag, correcting form with hands that lingered just a beat too long, on my shoulder, my wrist, sending jolts I chalked up to static. We grabbed coffee after, at that dingy diner on Knickerbocker where the eggs were greasy and the talk flowed easy. He opened up piecemeal. Grew up in Detroit, came out at 18 to a family that fractured like cheap glass. Lost my brother to it, he said one rainy afternoon, stirring sugar into black coffee. He couldn't handle the fag label. OD'd 2 years later, his voice cracked, and I reached across the formica, squeezing his forearm. skin on skin, warm and electric. "I'm sorry," I whispered, meaning it deeper than words. That touch lingered in my dreams, morphing into something softer, insistent. Dylan became the axis my world spun on, his laugh a low rumble over bad jokes, his texts at 2 a.m., checking if I'd eaten after a late shift. I painted again, late nights in my apartment, canvases splashed with the raw ache of wanting him. Abstract fists unclenching into open palms, blues bleeding into golds. But doubt gnawed. I was Jet by night, the fantasy. Jesse by day, the mess. What did a coach see in a dancer who'd never thrown a real punch? One evening, after a brutal session where I finally nailed an uppercut that made the bag shudder, Dylan pulled me into a hug, sweaty, unyielding, his heart hammering against mine. "You're getting it, kid. That strength? It's always been there, kid." The word stung, a reminder of the gulf. But then he tilted my chin up, thumb brushing my jaw, and our eyes locked. The air thickened, charged. I leaned in, breath mingling, lips parting, and he pulled back, gentle but firm. "Jesse. Not like this. Not when you're still finding your feet." Rejection, soft-edged, carved deeper than any belt. I nodded, throat tight, and fled to the rope that night, dancing with a fury that bordered on self-destruction. The betrayal came subtle at first, like a feint you don't see coming. Marco cornered me in the dressing room a week later, his breath sour with gin. "Heard you're slacking, Jet. Moonlighting with some gym rat? Club's got rules. No side gigs that steal your fire." I laughed it off, but paranoia bloomed. How'd he know? Then the whispers started. Regulars eyeing me cooler, tips drying up. I confronted Dylan after sparring, voice shaking. "Did you tell someone about us training?" His face fell, confusion twisting to horror. "What? No, Jesse. I'd never," but the damage was done. That night, a brawl erupted at the bar, some drunk swinging at shadows, me in the crossfire. Fists flew, glass shattered, and I took a bottle to the ribs, cracking bone. As sirens wailed, Dylan burst through the chaos, scooping me up like I weighed nothing. "I've got you," he murmured, and in the ER's sterile hum, with morphine dulling the edges, I confessed it all. The fear, the want, the fracture. He stayed through the night, hand in mine, stories spilling like balm. His own betrayal, a lover years back who'd sold his fight tapes to promoters for a quick buck, leaving him broke and broken. "Trust is the real knockout punch," he said, voice hoarse. Dawn crept in, painting the blinds gold, and I turned to him, vulnerable. "Teach me that too?" Our kiss was tentative, then fierce, lips crashing like waves on concrete, hands mapping scars both seen and unseen. It wasn't fire. It was forge, tempering something enduring. Recovery was a haze of takeout and Netflix in my shoebox apartment, Dylan appearing with ice packs and that damn grin. We talked for hours, my paintings pinned to walls like flags of surrender, his old fight photos yellowed on the fridge. Intimacy built slow, in stolen touches and shared silences, the kind that knit souls without unraveling. But the rope called me back too soon, ribs taped, ego bruised. Marco smirked as I hit the stage, but the crowd felt different, Dylan's presence in the back, nodding approval, made the spins feel like flights. Then the real hook landed. A letter from home, Dad dying of cancer. Mom's scrawl begging forgiveness. Ticket enclosed. Come see him, Jesse. Before it's too late. The prodigal son. Queer and unrepentant. I crumpled it, but Dylan unfolded it gentle. Go. Not for him, for you. Close the circle, or it'll choke you forever. His words were steel wrapped in silk. And I boarded the bus to Ohio, heart a war drum. The farm was a relic. Sagging porch, fields barren under winter frost. Dad lay skeletal in the trailer, eyes milky but sharp. Heard you made it big in the city, he rasped. No warmth. I sat, throat closing. Dancing. In bars. Silence stretched. Then, your ma said. You're one of them. The word hung, venom dulled by time. I braced for the storm, but he sighed, hand trembling toward mine. Wasted my rage on you. On me. Wish I'd seen. Strength in different skin. Tears came, hot and unbidden, and we talked, halting, raw until he slipped away at dusk, the horizon bleeding red. Back in Brooklyn, Dylan waited at the station, arms open. How'd it go? I buried my face in his chest, words tumbling. Forgiveness, loss, the weight lifted. We walked the bridge at midnight, Manhattan's lights a constellation of second chances. You taught me to fight, I said, lacing fingers. But this is living. Months later, the rope faded to memory. I traded poles for canvas, teaching art at the rec center beside Dylan's ring. Our life wove simple. Mornings tangled in sheets, evenings sparring words over dinner. Betrayal's shadow lingered in quiet moments, but we punched through together. Strength wasn't in the swing, it was in the stand, side by side. And in Dylan's eyes, I saw my reflection, whole, unbroken, home. The spring thaw hit Brooklyn like a reluctant lover, melting the grime off sidewalks and coaxing green shoots from cracked planters. I woke to Dylan's side of the bed empty, the scent of his cedar cologne lingering on pillows like a promise. 3 months since Ohio, since Dad's graveside nod that felt like absolution, and our rhythm had settled into something sacred. Coffee brewed black, kisses tasting of it, the world outside our window a canvas we painted together. But scars don't fade. They map the skin, reminding you of the battles won. Mine itched under the fresh ink, a small boxing glove tattoo on my ribs. Dylan's idea, a talisman against the pull of old habits. The rec center buzzed that morning, kids in oversized gloves thumping pads with giggles more than grit. Dylan moved among them like a gentle giant, correcting stances with patience I'd envied once. Keep your guard up, TJ, protect the heart. Always. I watched from the art room doorway, easel half set, a smile tugging despite the twinge in my side from last night's amateur bout. We'd sparred light in the ring after hours, his hooks pulling punches but eyes fierce with pride. You're a natural, Harlan, he'd said, tapping gloves. Natural. The word wrapped warm, chasing ghosts. But lunch brought the first ripple. We grabbed falafel from the truck on Myrtle, sitting on the center stoop amid the honk of buses and chatter of passersby. Dylan's phone buzzed. Once, twice, and he silenced it with a frown. X, he muttered, not meeting my eyes. Alex. Still thinks he can drop in uninvited. Alex. The ghost from his Detroit days, the one who'd shattered trust with leaked tapes and lies. I'd seen the photos once, blurry on his phone, A younger Dylan, arms around a sharp-featured guy with a smirk that screamed trouble. Jealousy flickered, unbidden, but I swallowed it. Block him. Or tell me to shut up. Dylan squeezed my knee, thumb circling. It's nothing. Old noise, but the seed planted, doubt's quiet root. Afternoons blurred. I led a class for teens, mostly queer kids with eyes wide as mine had been, teaching them to bleed color onto paper instead of walls. Art's your armor, I told them, demoing broad strokes that mimicked a jab. One girl, Mia, with purple-streaked hair and a sketchbook full of shadowed figures, lingered after. Mr. Jesse, how'd you? Stop hiding, her voice small, but the question boomed. I thought of poles and spotlights, of Dylan's mitts catching my fury. Someone saw the real you first. Made you believe it was enough. She nodded, fierce, and I saw my younger self, terrified, tenacious. Evening found us at home, a one-bedroom in Bed-Stuy we'd pooled for, walls alive with my abstracts and his framed belts. Dylan cooked, chili simmering, jazz low on the speakers while I set the table, bumping hips in that easy dance of ours. But his phone lit up again. Screen down. I flipped it casual. Miss you, champ. Coffee? For old times. Alex. My stomach nodded. He won't quit, Dylan sighed, catching my glance. Thinks we're unfinished business. Unfinished. The word clawed. We ate in near silence, spice doing little to cut the tension. Later, in bed, his touch was urgent, hands mapping me like territory to reclaim. I arched into it, whispering his name like prayer, but dawn brought no ease, only the echo of what-ifs. The rope haunted in dreams. Marco's leer, the crush of bodies, the hollow afterglow. The quit cold, last set a defiant twirl that left the crowd stunned, but freedom tasted bittersweet. My first gallery show loomed, a small queer art collective in Williamsburg, 10 pieces born of us. Dylan hyped it endless. They're gonna eat your heart up, Jesse. His belief was oxygen. But Alex's texts piled like debris, Dylan deleting them with gritted teeth. He's in town for work, he admitted one night, rain lashing windows. Some finance gig. Swears it's platonic. Platonic. I laughed. Hollow. And I'm the Easter Bunny. Conflict brewed slow, a storm gathering over the East River. We argued first over trivia, me snapping at his late gym hours, him calling out my brooding silences. You're pulling away, he said, voice edged, during a walk through Prospect Park, cherry blossoms mocking our strain. Like I'm the one with secrets, I whirled, chest tight. You're the one with a stalker ex blowing up your phone. Words flew sharp, accusations of clinging, of not trusting, until he grabbed my arms, holding firm. I choose you, every damn day. But you gotta meet me there. His eyes, stormy, pleaded. I deflated, nodding into his shoulder, the fight fizzling into make-up sex that left us spent and sorry. But Alex escalated. A bouquet arrived at the center, roses red as warning flags, card and signed but obvious. Mia found it, giggling until she saw my face. Dylan trashed it immediate, but the damage seeped. That night, he vanished after class, phone off. A note, handling this. Love you. Hours ticked, panic rising like bile. I paced our apartment, fists clenched, imagining betrayals in motel sheets. Midnight brought him home, lips split, knuckles raw. Confronted him at his hotel. Told him we're done, permanently, his voice steady, but eyes haunted. I pulled him to the couch, icing his hand, heart aching. You fought for us. He cupped my face, thumb tracing my scar. Always will. The show night arrived electric. Gallery humming with low lights and murmurs. My canvases hung like confessions. Dylan stood sentinel by the door, suit sharp, pride radiating. Friends mingled, rec center kids, old rope acquaintances who'd evolved into allies. Toasts clinked. To Jesse, painting what we feel, high bloomed, until Alex slithered in tailored, smirking, champagne flute in hand. Heard the artists risen. Thought I'd congratulate. Dylan's jaw tightened beside me, but I stepped forward, voice calm. Doors that way. We're closed for your kind of business. Murmurs rippled. Alex's laugh grated. Still playing tough. Jet? Dylan always did like strays. The slur landed like a sucker punch. Dylan lunged, but I blocked, eyes locked on Alex. Get out. Or I'll show you how far I've come. Security. 2 burly dykes from the collective escorted him, his protests fading. The room exhaled. Applause followed, tentative then thunderous. Dylan pulled me aside, forehead to mine. You were magnificent. We kissed there, amid the art we'd built, the crowd a blur of cheers. But victory soured at dawn. Dylan confessed over breakfast. He cornered me last week. Offered money to help with the center. I said no, but he twisted it. Said you'd drag me down. The betrayal stung, not Dylan's, but the poison seeping in. We talked it raw, insecurities laid bare, promises forged anew. No more ghosts, I vowed, hand over his heart. He nodded, sealing it with a kiss that tasted of forever. Summer deepened our roots, joint classes at the center, me teaching fight and flow, dance infused with boxing, bodies moving as one. Dates wandered Coney Island boardwalks, cotton candy sweet on lips, Ferris wheel confessions under stars. Love deepened, humanistic in its quiet mending. Dylan volunteering at a youth shelter, me donating paintings for auctions. But conflict's embers glowed. Marco called once, oily, miss your ass on stage, kid. Offer stands. I hung up, but the temptation whispered, easy cash when bills nipped. The climax cracked open on a sweltering August eve. Dylan proposed a road trip, upstate to his cabin, escape the city's grind. We packed light, cooler of beers, my sketch pad, his gloves for impromptu spars. The drive wound through Catskills green, radio crooning Springsteen, hands intertwined over the stick shift. Remember our first talk? He asked, eyes on the road. Alley smoke. You all fire and frost. I squeezed his fingers. You thawed me. The cabin was rustic, pine walls, lake view shimmering. We swam naked at dusk, water cool on sun-kissed skin, laughter echoing off birches. Dinner by firelight, steaks charred, stories spilling. But midnight brought the storm, thunder rumbling, rain sheeting. We made love slow, bodies sinking like a perfect combo, whispers of mine and always. Sleep claimed us tangled. Morning fog cloaked the lake when I woke alone. Dylan's phone on the nightstand, unlocked, a text glowing. See you soon, Champ. Can't wait to make things right. A attached. A photo of plane tickets. NYC bound. Heart plummeting. I scrolled messages from weeks back. Flirty. Evasive. Just talking. Nothing more. Lies. Layered. Betrayal. Sharp as a blade. He returned from a run. Drenched. Seeing my face. Jesse. I cut him off. Voice steel. How long? Words tumbled. Denials crumbling to confessions. Alex had wormed in during my doubts. Old friend lunches turning to late drinks. Emotional quicksand. I was weak. Dylan choked. Tears carving tracks. Scared you'd see me as not enough. The irony burned. Packed. Bag slung. Storming to the car. You taught me strength. But trust? That's on you. The drive back was hell. Silence thick. My fists white on the wheel. Brooklyn swallowed us. The city indifferent. I crashed at Mia's couch. Nights painting fury. Canvases slashed red. Black. Dylan called endless. Voicemails breaking. I fucked up. Come back. The center felt haunted. Kids asked. Eyes wide. Coach okay? I lied through teeth. Weeks ground. Shows canceled. Sleep fractured. Then the low. A rope relapse. One drink turning to Marco's proposition. Dance again. Pretty boy. Double pay. Teetered. Pole's ghost calling. But Dylan's glove tattoo throbbed. A reminder. I showed instead unannounced. Rain-soaked. To his door. Teach me forgiveness, I said. Voice raw. He pulled me in. Crumbling. Only if you teach me redemption. We rebuilt deliberate. Therapy sessions side by side. Truths unearthed like fossils. Alex vanished. Blocked. Barred. A chapter sealed. Fall leaves turned. Mirroring our mending walks in the park. Hands held unashamed. Love emerged wiser. Scarred but steadfast, human in its flaws. Romantic in its reach. One crisp November dawn. Atop the Brooklyn Bridge. Wind whipping scarves. Dylan knelt. Jesse Harlan. You're my fight. My canvas. My home. Marry me. Ring simple. Steel band etched with a tiny heart. Tears blurred the skyline. Yes, I breathed. Pulling him up into a kiss that spanned boroughs. Winter's grip tightened on New York. Frosting fire escapes and turning breaths to visible prayers. Our engagement ring caught the lamplight like a secret shared. Dylan's thumb tracing it absent-mindedly during late-night grading. He'd taken night classes at CUNY, chasing a counseling degree to deepen his coaching. Gonna help more than just fists, he murmured, lips brushing my temple. I leaned into him, sketchpad balanced on knees, charcoal smudging a portrait of us. Lines entangled, unbreakable. The betrayal scar tissue held, tender but tough, a reminder that love wasn't flawless porcelain but forged iron. Bent, not broken. The center holiday party loomed, a raucous affair in the gym. Twinkling lights strung on punching bags, kids in Santa hats dodging eggnog spills. I helped Mia organize the art auction, paintings from our classes fetching bids that funded new supplies. You're glowing, mister. Jesse, she teased, pinning a boutonniere to my sweater. Glowing. Yeah. With Dylan beside me in a ridiculous elf beanie. Arms slung casual. Felt true. But eyes lingered. A new volunteer, broad and bearded, clapping Dylan's back too long. whispers from old rope faces in the crowd. Paranoia, that old sparring partner, tapped my shoulder. The real jab came post-party, snow blanketing streets as we trudged home. Dylan's phone chirped, a voicemail from his mom, voice quavering over static. Dylan, honey, your brother's coming for Christmas. Cleaned up, says he's sorry. Bring that nice boy of yours, brother. The one lost to pills after the coming out fallout. Presumed ghost until now. Dylan's face paled, steps faltering. Ryan. Thought he was gone. We paused under a street lamp, flakes melting on lashes. I cupped his jaw. We'll face him. Together, but inside, conflict stirred. My own family ghosts rattling chains, Dad's grave fresh enough to ache. Christmas Eve dawned brittle. Tree strung with mismatched ornaments, chili bubbling like old times. Dylan paced, baking cookies to distraction, burnt edges mirroring nerves. Ryan arrived at dusk, cab idling curbside, taller than photos, hollow-cheeked, I skittish like a colt. Hug stiff, words halting. Heard you settled, bro. Happy for ya. Dinner teetered, small talk skating thin ice. Ryan's gaze flicking to me, curious then cool. So, Jesse. Dancer. Huh? Glam life. The word dripped, and Dylan's fork clattered. Artist now. And it's none of your business. Tension crackled. Ryan flinched, muttering apologies over pie. Night deepened confessions by firelight. Ryan spilled. Rehab circuits. Rock bottom in Seattle alleys. The call from Mom yanking him east. Hated you for a while. Die. For being brave when I couldn't. Dylan nodded, throat working. I blamed myself. I sat silent, hand on Dylan's knee. But Ryan's eyes met mine, probing, almost envious. You too. Real deal. I squeezed harder. Real as it gets. Boxing Day brought thaw. Ryan joined a center session, gloves loose but earnest. I painted in the corner, capturing the brothers, fists bumping, grins tentative. Hope flickered, humanistic in its mess. Families as fractured mosaics, pieced with grace. But betrayal's echo whispered. A week later, Ryan lingered post-class, cornering Dylan in the office. I overheard fragments. Alex mentioned. Doubts. You sure about him, Alex? The snake, slithering through proxies. Dylan's voice rose. Stay out. That's our fight. One. I confronted Ryan that eve. Coffee steaming between us at the diner. What game you playing? He sighed, stirring endless. Not a game. Worry for him. Alex painted you as unstable. The bar stuff, unstable. The label I'd worn like a hair shirt. Anger flared, but I breathed Dylan's lesson, core power, not rage. I was lost. He found me. End of story. Ryan nodded. Slow. Fair. Just protect him. Like he did me. Spring bloom tentative. Cherry petals carpeting paths like confetti for our quiet wedding plans. City Hall. Small center kids as witnesses. Mia officiating with dramatic flair. But conflict crested in April rains. Ryan relapsed. A bender call at 3 a.m. Dylan bolting to bail him out. I paced alone. Rain drumming doubts. Why him? I journaled furious. Pages tearing. Dylan returned dawn-weary. smelling of antiseptic. Family, he said, collapsing. But the pull worried me. Ryan's needs eclipsing ours, old patterns reborn. The argument erupted over breakfast. Me accusing codependency, him defending blood. He's trying, Dylan snapped, voice cracking. Like you did, the barb landed, reopening wounds. I stormed out, wandering soaked streets to the old rope site, boarded now, a ghost. Inside my head, voices clashed. Dad's venom, Marco's leer, Alex's smirk. Unworthy. Hours later, Dylan's text, park. Please. Prospect. Under our oak. He waited, eyes red, hands outstretched. You're right. I can't save everyone. We sat, mud-seeping jeans, truths pouring. Ryan needs prose, not me. And you. You need all of me. Tears mixed with drizzle. I pulled him close. Then give it. We set boundaries, Ryan to therapy, Dylan stepping back. Summer healed. Lake weekends. Rings glinting sun. Wedding day dawned golden. Vows exchanged amid center chaos. Kids cheering. Ryan sober in the front row. Clapping fierce. To unbreakable, Dylan toasted. Kiss ceiling. But life's drama doesn't bow out. Fall brought news. Center funding slashed. City budgets biting. We rallied fundraisers. My art sales spiking. Yet stress-frayed. Dylan overworking. Me withdrawing to canvas. One night, post-gala, champagne buzzing, he confessed to temptation. Old promoter contact. Offering coaching gigs in Vegas. Big money. For us. But the road whispered separation. Climax brewed in November frost. Ryan announced sobriety milestone. A job in Queens. Moving out. Celebration dinner turned tense. Wine flowing. Ryan toasting new chapters. But Dylan's eyes distant. Vegas card burning pocket. I called it post-meal. Voice low in the kitchen. Choose. He deflated. You. Always. The card shredded. Future anchored. Winter circled back. Softer. Holidays with Ryan integrated. Mom visiting from Ohio. Tentative hugs. My paintings bridging gaps. Love. Romantic in renewal. Humanistic in its reach. Flaws not fatal, but fuel. The new year unfurled like a fresh canvas. Blank and begging strokes. Our first anniversary. Simple. A picnic in Central Park under April's tentative sun. Dylan's packed basket yielding PB and JS and that lopsided grin. To us, he said. Clinking water bottles. Ring catching light. I sketched him quick, profile sharp against skyline. Love etching lines softer. Betrayal's shadow had receded to faint outline. Therapy sessions polishing our edges. But New York, that relentless muse, plotted twists. Center expansion talks buzzed. A grant for queer youth programs. My artboxing hybrid at core. Dylan led pitches. Passion igniting boardrooms. It's more than punches, he'd argue. Voice resonant. It's permission to be. I backed with visuals. Murals of diverse fighters. Colors defiant. Approval came swift. But strings attached. Fundraising tour. Dylan keynoting across state. 2 weeks, he promised. Packing. Video dates. Promise. Absence amplified ache. Night solo. I taught classes to echoes, kids thriving. Mia now co-instructor. her sketches rivaling mine. But Dylan's absence echoed. Bed cold. Texts a poor substitute. Ryan checked in. Sober streak solid. His bro code calls a bomb. He's all in. Jesse. Trust the long game. Long game. I nodded to empty air, painting absences in grays. The call came mid-tour. Dylan's voice strained over hotel hum. Alex is here. Conference overlap. Swears coincidence. Coincidence. My brush snapped mid-stroke. Block the fucker, he sighed. Already did. But he cornered me. Apologized. For everything. Apology. The word soured. And silence stretched. I listened. Then walked. Relief mixed suspicion. I hung up curt. Doubts vine creeping. Tour's end brought reunion at Penn Station. His arms engulfing. Kiss desperate. Missed you, he breathed. Duffel thudding. We reconnected fierce. Bodies remembering. Words weaving absences into strength. But seeds sprouted. A gala invite. High-profile donors. Dylan shone. Speech landing standing ovation. But Alex lurked shadows. Champagne flute raised mocking. I intercepted. Voice ice. Stay gone. His smile slithered. Protective. Cute. But Dylan's past isn't past. The whisper festered. Dylan dismissed. Noise. But nights. His sleep restless. Murmurs of old fights. Conflict simmered. Me pressing for transparency. Him retreating to work. Can't live haunted. I snapped one eve. Pots clanging. He whirled. Eyes flashing. Then stopped digging graves. Words wounded. Door slammed. My walk to the bridge a blur of tears. Dawn reconciliation under that same oak. Apologies traded. Vulnerabilities bared. Alex preys on cracks, Dylan admitted. But you're my seal. We vowed vigilance, couples counseling resuming. Boundaries ironclad. Summer sizzled with center triumphs. New wing ribbon cut. Kids flooding classes. Our hybrid sessions boomed, bodies flowing from dance to drill. Laughter echoing. Ryan mentored now. His story a beacon. But climax loomed in heat haze. A donor scandal. Funds embezzled. Whispers pointing to insider. Panic rippled. Bored-eyed Dylan. His tour connections suspect. Accusation landed at emergency meeting. Anonymous tip fingering him. Impossible, I roared. But doubt's poison spread. Alex's hand? Dylan suspended pending probe. Face ashen. Believe me? He paced. Voice breaking. Never touched a dime. I nodded. Fierce. We fight this. Investigation dragged. Audits endless. Dylan's nights sleepless. Ryan rallied alibis. Mia dug news clips debunking ties. Me? I painted outrage, exhibits sold for legal fees. Headlines shifting. Coach's innocence emerges. Truth surfaced. A rogue accountant. Alex's tip a red herring to stir chaos. Clearing came brutal. Board apology public. But damage scarred. Dylan's confidence cracked. Center enrollment dipping. Lost my fire. He confessed one rainy night. Gloves idle. I pulled him to the ring. Then we'll reignite. Sparring turned therapy. Punches purging. Hugs healing. Fall mended slow. Enrollment rebounded. Dylan co-leading with renewed grit. Wedding anniversary 2. Vow renewal at the center. Kids officiating. Laughter loud. Love. dramatic in trials, romantic in triumphs. But humanism deepened in quiet, volunteering at shelters, stories swapped over soup. Dylan's brother Ryan proposed partnership, sober living house. Our skills fused. Family business, he grinned. We dove in, blueprints dreaming. Winter whispered closure. Alex's downfall, arrest for fraud, his empire crumbling. No gloating, just relief, a chapter archived. New Year's Eve, bridge again. Fireworks bursting, Dylan's arm anchor. To strength shared, kiss under stars, future vast. Spring's renewal mirrored our own center thriving. Sober house breaking ground, Dylan's counseling degree in hand. Mornings started with his lectures prepped beside my easel. Coffee mingling scents of ink and ambition. You're my muse, I teased, sketching his furrowed brow. He laughed, low, pulling me onto his lap. And you're my anchor, rings glinted, vows a year old but fresh as dawn. Yet beneath bliss, undercurrents stirred, life's insistence on testing metal. The house opening gala drew crowds, city brass, donors gleaming, kids from our programs beaming. Ryan emceed, voice steady, from shadows to sanctuary. Dylan spoke next, words weaving redemption's thread. Pride swelled, but a face in the throng chilled. My cousin from Ohio, uninvited, eyes narrow. Auntie's boy, all gussied in Sin City lights. Family fracture reopened. He'd echoed Dad's old venom. Letter post-funeral damning my lifestyle. Confrontation post-speech. Cousin slurs low. Dragging Dylan down too. I fired back. Voice steel. Walk away. Or learn. Security ushered him out. But echo lingered judgment's ghost. Dylan found me later. Arm slipping waist. You okay? I nodded. But inside roiled. Old wounds. That night. Tangled sheets. I confessed boyhood shames. Crushes hidden. Beatings veiled. His touch soothed. Whispers fierce. Your victory, Jesse. Summer built boldly. House residents trickling in vets. Runaways. Souls adrift. We co-counseled. Dylan's empathy unlocking doors mine painted open. Mia joined staff. Her murals transforming drab walls. Ryan thrived as director. Gratitude in every glance. But conflict crested in July heat. A resident crisis. Young trans kid. Jamie. Spiraling family rejection mirroring mine. Suicide attempt shook us. Dylan blamed oversight. I pushed for more resources. Arguments flared. We can't save them all, he yelled. Exhausted. Then why try? I shot back. Door slamming. Walkabout led to the rope's old alley. Smoke curling nostalgic. Regrets thick. Text from Dylan ring. Now. Center empty. We sparred verbal then physical, midst thumping. Tears falling. I need you whole, he panted. Not martyr. Collapse into hugs. Truth spared. Burnout's toll. Love's demand for self-care. Jamie stabilized. Therapy collective, we hired more. Boundaries redrawn. Fall's harvest brought bounty. House at capacity. Center grants renewed. Anniversary 3. Upstate cabin redux. No storms this time. Lake swims lazy. Stars confetti. Dylan gifted leather-bound journal. For the stories we'll tell. I penned first entry, he taught me strength. I taught him grace. Climax brewed autumnal. Expose threat. Tabloid hack dug dirt. My rope past twisted lurid. Dylan's shady exes dredged. Gay power couple secrets screamed draft leak. Panic hit. Funders fleeing? Ryan cursed. Mia rallied socials. Dylan wanted retreat. I pushed fight. Own it, I urged. Drafting op-ed, raw, redemptive, dancer to artist, ghosts to guides. Publication day, storm of shares, support surging. Interviews poured, Dylan's poise, my candor. Backlash bit, trolls spewing hate, but allies amplified, queer icons endorsing, donations doubling. Betrayal unmasked as catalyst. Alex's final jab, traced to his cell. Resolution warmed winter. House expansion funded. Center unbreakable. Holidays whole, mom hosting. Ryan's girl on arm, tables groaning. Toasts inclusive. New Year's, bridge ritual, now tradition. To enduring, lips met, city roaring approval. Love, emotional tapestry, wove deeper dramatic arcs bent to romantic holds, humanistic heart beating steady. The cycle turned again, years blurring into legacy. Center and house fused empires, expansions to Harlem, programs franchised. Dylan keynote TEDx. Voice global, strength isn't solitary, it's shared fire. I curated exhibits nationwide. Canvases chronicling queer resilience. Home remained sanctuary. Bed-Stewie brownstone bought outright. Walls gallery of us. Paintings evolving. Softer edges. Anniversaries marked milestones. 5 years. Vow renewal lakeside. Ryan best man. 10. Adoption papers signed, twin boys from foster. Jamal and Kai. Chaos incarnate. Fatherhood reshaped. Dylan's bedtime stories laced with fight metaphors. My lullabies sketched in stars. Daddy Jesse, Jamal lisped. Crayon fists on paper. Pride swelled. Fierce. Conflict never fully retired. Just rotated gloves. To 15 years. Ryan's relapse scare, stress fracture. Not break, tested bonds. Family intervention. Dylan's steady hand. My words anchoring. We've got laps left, I said. Hug ceiling. He pulled through, mentoring anew. Climax revisited old ring. Center arson attempt. Bigot's torch. Midnight blaze. Flames licked murals. We watched helpless. Sirens wailing. Dylan charged barriers. Our kid's safe place. I held him back. Heart shattering. Arsonist caught. Echo of past hates. But rebuild rallied nation. Celebs donating. Volunteers surging. Phoenix rose. State-of-art facility. Named Harlan Reeves Haven. Betrayal's final bow. Alex's plea from prison. Letter begging forgiveness. Ruin complete. Dylan burned it unread. I nodded. Ashes to lessons. Twilight years dawn gentle. Grandkids tumbling. Ryan's line thriving. Dylan retired coaching. Me easel-bound. Memoirs co-penned. Evenings porch swing. Hands laced. Stories retold. Remember the alley? He'd murmur. Best detour ever. Ending humanistic. Not tragic, lives woven rich. Love's drama faded to warm glow. On our golden bridge walk. Sunset gilding rings. Dylan squeezed. Strengths you. I leaned. Eternal. And us.